Welcome back to another episode of Daruma Dojo Dialogues. Today we are talking with Sensei Sevey Lee.
What's going on, man?
Thanks so much for chatting. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. How about you?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by. And let's talk about judo, because you are the judo sensei here for the adults program at the Daruma Dojo.
Yes.
How's that program coming along? How are you enjoying that?
It's doing pretty good. I think early on it was kind of difficult because I kind of wanted to teach judo for judo. Like I wanted to run the program kind of like a judo program. And then I kind of looked at who our students are and I go, looks like we have a bunch of BJJ guys who wants to do judo to improve their BJJ. So kind of thought about changing it up and make it more BJJ friendly. Think of it as judo for BJJ, which in a way kind of makes more sense. Like there's a lot of techniques out there that they like to do now. And then of course you're gonna add some more flashy stuff that they kind of see on Instagram. They're like, oh, I see some guys doing Uchimata, I wanna do that. I'm like, okay, we'll do that then. So I sprinkle a little bit more cool stuff of judo and then make it more BJJ friendly, I guess you could say. So I've been changing it up. And I think so far it's been doing pretty good. People come back and they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, right? Oh, that's a cool move. And then now I've been incorporating more no-gi judo. So nowadays, like if you don't want to wear a gi in my judo class, that's fine. We'll do some no-gi stuff. Like whizzers or underhooks is essentially, if you really think about it, to all my judo guys out there listening, it's really just lefty versus righty. Right,
once you lock into an underhook overhook battle?
Yeah, it's essentially lefty-righty with a gi, right? Because then if I have the underhook, if I have right hand, then they have to have the whizzer. That means I'm a righty. That means I force them to be a lefty. Can they turn with the lefty grip? Maybe not, depending if they're a lefty or not.
Right. So that could be a good strategy too. If you really know your opponent and you know they only throw one direction.
Yes.
If you can force them to the other side via a certain grip or via in no-gi, an underhook or an overhook, you force them to go to the side that they're not comfortable with.
Exactly. So I think that's a good strategy in terms of no-gi. Again, I'm still experimenting, so who knows how we come along with that.
Yeah, my no-gi takedowns are very dependent on underhooks and overhooks. That's so it really kind of relates to the judo. That's why I start to feel comfortable. For sure. So I'm always looking. Once I get an overhook or an underhook on someone, now I feel like, okay, I get settled in and I feel more comfortable.
But you're different because like most judokas, they just go one or the other. They just go left or right. But they just go left or right, but you go left and right.
I have techniques both directions, which is like what I recommend for everybody. Like you don't have to have, like if you learn a Taiotoshi, you don't have to do a Taiotoshi both directions.
No.
But you need a direction that goes, you need some techniques that go left and techniques that go right. So that, like I have certain techniques that can go both directions, like a Harai Goshi, Uchimata, Seiri Nage. But I have other techniques that only go one direction, which is my Taiotoshi. So, or even like my Osotogari to my lefty is pretty weak. To my right is pretty strong. Yeah,
I think most judokas, generally speaking, they just go one way. They're either a lefty or righty. They never switch. And I think strategically it makes sense for them because they're like, oh, if I'm just going that way, then I'm just more strong on that side. I'm just gonna focus on that side. But I think when it comes to an overall grappling experience, whether you're a wrestler or a judoka or a BJJ guy, I think it's best to go both ways. Like right now, I'm trying to get better at my lefty Osotogari, and it's coming along pretty well, but I've never done lefty Osotogari ever until like I start experimenting. I'm like, oh, okay, now I think I'm okay, but it's not as.
It's weird.
It feels very awkward. It's like this doesn't feel right.
Totally. It's like trying to throw a baseball with your opposite hand or shoot a basketball with your opposite hand.
Yeah, it feels very awkward. It feels very weird.
But even I think high-level basketball players, like there's a purpose and a time to use the opposite hand, and if you have that option, you become so much more of a rounded player, Now, baseball, why would you need to do that? It's not necessary. I think everyone should try both sides, and then they can
kind of figure themselves.
And then if it's like that, if it's so awkward, maybe it's not worth it to spend, countless repetitions on something that you might not ever use. I think there's both sides to that. Some people are like, hey, I'm only going to focus on one side so I can get that side really good.
Yeah.
Why would I rather have two sides that are mediocre?
Yeah. It's like, what was it? Something Master of None?
Yeah. Craft of all, or Master of all crafts, or
Master of None, or something like that.
Jack of all trades, or Master of none.
There you go. But it's interesting enough that you say that, because like when I come and roll for BJJ, like I know I favor one side over the other, but like I can still go the other side. It's just not as efficient and as good as my other side. Like if I pull in open guard, generally speaking, you kind of favor one side or the other.
Right.
Most people.
I favor my left butt cheek.
Yeah, it depends which butt cheek you favor, right? Like, it's funny enough.
Sorry to interrupt. My uniform, my white uniform, tend to have like a darker spot on that butt cheek because I sit on that side more often. So it's very, very common. And I think I made a conscious choice about that because my professor made a point a long time ago. Was like, figure out which side guard they prefer to play. Yeah. And then pass the other direction, and that will like immediately put them on an uncomfortable position. Yeah. So that means you have to be able to pass both directions. Yeah. If you see they favor one side, but that's the side I like to pass to. Now we're both uncomfortable going that way. Right. So I think I made a conscious decision in the past. Was like, okay, most people pass to my right. Yeah. So I'm gonna cut that side off and make them pass to my left. Yeah. And put the majority of people in their uncomfortable direction. Yeah.
So I found myself, depending on which submission I want to go with from guard, I favor one or the other.
Okay, so like if you're on your left side, what submission do you prefer?
Oh my God, I'm spilling my secrets out. If I favor on my left, I'm starting to reach for arm bars. I'm starting to reach for kanto chokes. I start to reach for like any collar or even omoplatas. Like I start favoring
with their left arm.
With my right. Their left, yeah.
Their left arm. Yeah. But your right hand is the kanto choke with your right leg going over the top.
Yeah. Spill my secrets here. But if I'm on my right cheek, then that's where I start going for triangles.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because now I can shoot my left leg, like for some odd reason, if I'm on my right cheek, that means my left leg can shoot out.
Right. Because that's the hip that's on top.
Yeah. And it's like easier for me to go there, which is like very weird. And then when I go on my left cheek to shoot for a triangle, it's like it just doesn't work.
Yeah, my triangles are much better with my right leg over the top.
Yeah.
But like we were talking before the podcast, my right knee has been kind of achy for the past few years. Yeah. And if someone's really struggling to fight my triangle, my knee will start hurting. So I've been consciously trying to practice my left leg more in the last few years because my left knee doesn't hurt. Yeah, so if somebody's trying to posture really strong and puts pressure on my knee, it's just uncomfortable. So we all favor one side. So I think it's not important to have like I need to have an armbar from the guard left and right. Like that's great to have. Yeah. But as long as you could do. If their left side, I could do an armbar strong, but their right side, I can do an omoplata strong. Yeah. At least I have a game on both sides, so that when I'm forced one direction, I'm not completely out of the water.
Yeah, that's like kind of my game so far. I'm still working on that kanto choke from guard.
Yeah. I've never tapped anybody with a kanto choke from the bottom.
Really?
Never. I don't think so. Not that I do it all the time from the top. Yeah. All the time.
Like from side control?
Yeah, from side control or from knee on belly.
Or knee on belly, yeah. I've been trying to get it from guard, and I don't feel like, I don't want to say I'm bullying people, but I've been working on a couple white belts, and it's working. Yeah. It's sort of working. Yeah.
Is it just cranking their neck, or are you choking them? Do you ask them afterwards?
No, yeah, I ask them, like, was that a neck crank, or is that like a stuff? Like when you stuff against their cheek, and they're like, this is uncomfortable. It's more like a jaw, and it's hurting. So I asked him, was that a legit choke or was that like more like towards the jaw? Was it across the face? And it's about 70-30, 70% of the time it's mostly, they say it's a choke. And I think I just need to work on more hip up, because a lot of times like they posture up. So when they posture up, it's kind of hard to stuff. I mean, it's hard to get the choke, it's more like a stuff. Whereas if you can bring them down or you get your hip up, now you can bring the leg over a lot easier and it feels more choky when you flex your leg down, right?
Do you curl your heel to your butt or do you make your leg heavy from the hip?
I'm trying to make my leg heavy and shoot my foot towards their armpit. So I'm going over the head, I'm trying to fish my foot towards their armpit.
I see.
Yeah, so it's more like a leg extension more than a like leg curl.
So it's coming more from your right hip.
Yes.
The pressure.
Yeah.
On the right hip.
Right hip and also the knee down.
So that prevent their posture.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I don't have long enough legs. Ideally, I would like to aim for the legs, but I don't have long enough legs for that.
I see. From their leg. Oh, that'd be super strong.
That'd be super strong.
If you get somebody whose posture's pretty down already, then you might be able to catch it. It might be nice to I recommend go for the leg and then fall back on the armpit. Because if you go for the armpit and you fall back on what?
I'd say what you're saying.
You're not going to fall back on it.
Yeah.
So if you go for the leg, and you might get it, and most likely won't, but it's easier to get to the armpit.
Yeah. What's funny enough is that when I aim for that, it mostly can happen from a traditional judo or BJJ side control, where they go underneath the leg, they have underneath the head, and they base down, right? And I was like, sometimes if you shrimp out, you can sort of get, because they already have, this leg is already free. So as long as you have one hand underneath the collar, you can kind of go over.
From the bottom?
Yeah.
So it's like a way for you to escape the side control?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But what's funny is that I don't see this happening in the judo circuit.
Yeah, well, their time is so limited.
The time is limited, but
why would somebody do a buggy choke in judo?
Dude, they'll be so I was joking around and I go, do you know what? It'll be the most funniest thing in the world if you get buggy choked in the judo world tour. And that happens.
If there was a BJJ practitioner that is willing to go troll the judo community, if that was possible, and then they just let the person pin them osaikomi just so they can buggy choke. And they'd have to be somebody that doesn't care regardless.
Sure.
Just if I get pinned, whatever, but I have 20 seconds to choke you.
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this. Okay, as coming from a black belt in judo and BJJ, when a judoka gets pinned, starts pinning you into osaikomi. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, osaikomi means the pin is in. Yeah. Right.
In judo, if you are pinned for 20 seconds, you lose. The match is over.
Yes, match is over. Yeah. As a practitioner of both, do you feel that a judoka's pin is nearly impossible to get out?
No. I mean,
especially specifically side control, I would say.
Well, if it's locked in, I'll tell, I was competing a lot judo on my path to black belt. Yeah. And as a brown belt, I was competing in black belt divisions and having success. And I always felt very confident, because I would go for throws like drop seirinages. That was my go-to throw in competition because for me, it's very safe. Yeah. There's no counter to that.
Specifically in judo, everybody, if you're listening, in judo.
If you go for, I don't do drop knee seirinages in jiu-jitsu.
Never.
If you don't get it right, they can take your back and choke you. Yeah. So, but in judo competition, judo rule set, if I go for it and I fail, now we're doing newaza. Yeah. And in judo, I could be getting choked, I could be getting pinned, but I had so much confidence in my BJJ that was better. My newaza was better than pretty much everybody that was going against. When I go for the drop seirinage, they would try to pin me, they would try to choke me, and I would either pull guard and try to play, or I just wait it out to stand back up and try again. Yeah. Now the only downside of doing drop knee seirinages is that you can get called for false attacks if you don't off balance them enough. Yeah. And so I would get shidos. I got shidoed out a couple of times for that, but not that often. But anyways, I became so overconfident that nobody's gonna pin me. People got close, like they would get to side control, and then I'd recover my guard, or I'd get to side control, I'd roll belly down.
Or you get to half guard or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly, and I can kill the time and get back up. But I went against this one guy. He was I think he was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, also like a college wrestler and a black belt judo.
Oh, dude.
Right, and he went for a throw, failed, chortled. I tried to do my crucifix armbar because it was a black belt division's armbar for a while.
Nice, yeah.
And he fireman carried me over and landed in a perfect Yoko Shio Katame.
Oh, nice.
Like had a head control, one arm in between my legs. Yeah. And he was just smashing me. Yeah. And I couldn't get out. I was stuck.
Oh,
and I got lost Ippon. And the interesting thing was that I think earlier that morning I was talking to Don, I think it was. I was like, nobody can pin me. Yeah. Nobody can pin me. I feel so confident. Yeah. But this guy, he pinned me, man. And I felt like embarrassed a little bit because of what I was saying earlier. And I felt a little overconfident, and maybe it was like a nice way for me to humble myself. But I think when a judo player locks in the pin, it's really hard to get out because they're very good at pinning because that's how they win. Yeah. In jiu-jitsu, I pin you, but I don't really care as much if you move around because I might be able to take your back off that. Or I'll transition to another pin. Sometimes I pin people and I often give them freedom to move so that I can get an arm bar, so I can get a kimura. But in judo, if you get to a pin, I don't want the arm bar, I want to just pin you. I'm gonna win in 20 seconds. Yeah. Why would I transition to the arm bar unless it's absolutely necessary? Right. So I think judo players have, I would say in general, have better pins than BJJ players. As far as like debilitating pins and just hold you down.
But that's the incentive of the game, right? Right. If the incentive of the game is to hold you into pin, I'm going to strengthen that.
Yeah, whereas in BJJ, if you get the pin, you get the point, and I can get back to your guard and get the pin again. Sure. They don't do that in Judo.
No, they don't. So I think like that's where the judoka and BJJ games, like there's like this cross, like, a lot of people say like, oh, isn't it like completely different? I say there's a lot of crossover. It's just different rules.
Yeah, right? The rules are different.
So like if the judo, the IJF brings back the leg grabs, I think it's going to be a major change in how we play the judo game. Mm-hmm. I call it the meta of judo.
Right. Judo, the rules are always changing.
They're always changing.
Yeah. Like I mean, jiu-jitsu too, but I feel like judo is more proactive on their changing of the rules to improve the spectator point of view when they're watching, right? Like at first, when I first started doing judo, the leg grabs became illegal, like a couple years prior. And they were extremely strict on it. Yeah. You even just like graze the pants, you're hansokomake, which means disqualified automatically. Yeah. And at the national championships, I made it to like the semifinals. Yeah. And I had a really tough match. I think we were in golden score, which means like overtime. And I just barely touched the person's pants, and I was disqualified. And I just thought it was so unfair.
I thought it was very strict. I thought when it first, because I fought during the time when there was leg grabs, no leg grabs. Oh, yeah. Like I fought before and after, and it was like when they banned the leg grabs, I remember I would just bait people all the time.
Oh, okay. How do you do that?
So I would just like I do what I do today in BJJ. I'll just like give them a single leg.
Oh wow.
I just bait them the single leg, and then like
because people were still not used to the rules.
They're not used to the rules.
We're still like, oh, grab the leg.
Yeah, exactly.
See it, take it, yeah.
So then they'll end up taking it, and then their coach is like, no! Yeah. And then I'm sitting here going, yes! Right? So I used to bait people all the time. Even to this day, like if anybody, rolls with me in BJJ, I bait people all the time with a single leg. If like, especially when they have a wrestling background, and they don't know how to counter out of a single leg, I just like, okay, just take it, it's fine. Because then I know like 3, maybe even more counters out of a single leg. Yeah. Right? It's fairly easy to get out of, and especially when they don't know, they don't run the pipe really well. Yeah. Like they just
a lot of people just grab the leg and hold on to it.
Yeah, they hold on to it, right?
Okay, and now I'm gonna counter you.
Yeah, I'm gonna counter you, right? So in BJJ, it's I think
if you're a wrestler, once they grab that leg, they're moving you.
They're moving me, or if you're
on the pipe, they're gonna make you move. They're not gonna let you stay still. Yeah. Which is when you're able to counter them a lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah. But I think what a lot of wrestlers don't do very well when they do get the single leg is like they think no gi. So like as a gi practitioner in judo, I like to grab onto the gi and like just pressure you down. There's no way you're getting me up.
Yeah.
Right, just pressure you down, and then I'm just gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna Sumiyu and Uchimata, right? Or I like able to, if it's too high, I can like, you know, shift my knee down or shift my, like kind of bend my knee out and then kind of so swivel in and out.
To one of the hips?
To one of the hips, right? So it just makes it easier, at least for me, I think. But as a judoka, don't get it twisted. Like my single leg isn't very good. My double leg isn't very good, right? So it's something I need to improve on anyways.
Yeah, we're more comfortable being on that end.
Yeah, definitely.
With our leg in between somebody's legs or something where you can throw or counter.
Yeah.
Then the leg grabs became just a Shido, so you get a penalty.
Yeah, you get penalty.
So I was like, okay, that makes way more sense.
It does.
At least
it does.
At least like I can grab the leg three Shidos and you lose?
Yeah, 3 Shidos.
So I can grab a leg through 2 times before you're getting disqualified.
Yeah.
And then I'll like, you know, get
it feels more fair.
It's more fair.
It feels more fair.
But now they very, very recently I don't know, they're allowing leg grabs in Japan. What league is that?
So at the time of this recording, okay?
Right, this is good.
Right. At the time of this recording, the All Japan Judo Federation, they have their own tournament.
Is that AJF?
Yeah, AJF. So they have their own tournament, All Japan tournament, which is essentially no weight class. So you see big dudes just competing.
And that's kind of how it used to be when judo was first. Judo didn't have weight classes.
Judo never had weight classes in the very beginning. It's more of a American/European thing because they mimicked wrestling. So they're like, oh, if there's weight class in wrestling, there should be a weight class in judo.
There are no weight classes in sumo.
There's no weight class in sumo, exactly. And it's kind of fun to watch, actually. When you're watching the small guys, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of dope, right?
Yeah. No, I'm a huge sumo fan, but we can talk on that later.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. But yeah, so there's no weight class in the All Japan tournament. And recently, as of like this time of this recording, about a month ago, they announced that, they're going to allow leg grabs. The rule is, to my understanding, as long as you have one hand above the belt, you can grab the leg. Right.
Yeah, so now you can do things like kataguruma.
What's the other one? You can't do a morote nage. You can't go in and dive for doubles. But you can, like, let's say, do an ankle pick, right? Let's say you have one, you shoot for an uchimata, and then you fake that uchimata for the ankle pick.
That's a good one.
Right? Or you just go for...
teaching that more often.
I'm just starting to do that, actually.
But that's even good for BJJ.
Exactly. Or like you could do change your levels, right? You can come down, they expect the leg grab. Change your level, fake the leg pick, but instead, or fake the ankle pick, but you come up and you shoot for an osoto or something like that.
Or ojigari or something.
Yeah, or a kosoto or something like that, right?
Somebody takes us backwards.
Yeah, or another one is like when you do a soda, you overturn and then you grab the leg behind you and then you like flip through. Yeah.
People were still doing that without the leg grab, but they were coming up by the belt. But sometimes they would miss because, like, they can't see and they're coming quick and then they touch the butt or something. And now they can go down straight to the knee and use that to, like,
just crank it through. And it's like,
that's cool.
Yeah. I can't wait for that. So when the IJF does, like, again, at the time of the recording, my speculation is that the IJF will bring back the leg grab, but I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I've heard rumors where it's like, you can only do it under this situation or this situation. And I'm like, why can't you just do it what the All Japan's just doing and just make it clear, simple? One hand on the collar or above the belt, second hand, you can grab the leg. Just keep it simple, don't... Like, that's one thing I don't like what the IJF does, is like they make like exception, they make these rules and there's just like always exception to these rules where it's like, it's not, that one rule where it's like, it's not osaikomi, it's like they turn their hips or something like that.
But not anymore.
It's like, it's very like, it seems very arbitrary in my opinion, right? And I'm a national referee, right? And I'm like, should I be calling osaikomi? And then someone's in my earphones and I'm like, osaikomi. I'm like, all right, here we go. Right.
Yeah, so I think as a judo athlete, there's a lot, you have to be very current, or as a judo coach who has athletes that are competing, you need to be very current with the rule set that they're using and how that applies. Like you mentioned, you are a national referee. I am also a national referee. You outrank me, of course. You just got leveled up to N4.
No, I still have to do one more tournament. That's an N4 ranking, and then I'll be N4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, that being said, like we just refereed a tournament recently together, and I haven't refereed a tournament in a couple.
We were next to the same table.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
I had like 2 years, I think, off of the mats from refereeing since I opened up the dojo here, and that was one of the rules that was different. Was the osai komi used to be like when people do the sankaku or a triangle pin, their hips would be facing up, and it wasn't a pin until it was facing down. Yeah. And the crazy thing, it was like my second match back, and I'm like just rusty as heck, and the person's hips were up, and then the coach was yelling osai komi, but I'm not gonna listen to the coach.
No.
And so I'm like, all right, and then must have been like at least 5 seconds or 6 seconds past the radio came on, right? As Takamoto Sensei said, God spoke to me and said osai komi. I said, okay, osai komi. Yeah. So that was, anyways, I kind of enjoy refereeing judo. It was fun, but I think it's just for me to stay current with the rules, to stay current with what the kids in judo are doing nowadays. And, and I got to see some really good matches, and I don't plan on ever like refereeing in the Olympics or anything.
No. Hot take though. If you were to change one judo rule besides the leg grab, what would you do? To make it more entertaining, to make it more BJJ friendly.
Arm bars at white belt.
Arm bars at white belt?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is BS. Like when we have kids in the jiu-jitsu, they're like 4 years old practicing arm bars. Yeah. 5 years old, I'm teaching, like that's probably the first submission you teach a kid, because Americana, although probably like the common submission you teach an adult at first, kids have a hard time figuring that out. They have a hard time to figure out which arm goes under, which one grabs. Like it's very confusing for them. So they don't really, even like at 7, 8, some of them at first have a hard time to figure that out, but especially at 4. But 4-year-olds can understand an arm bar because they just put the arm between their legs and they just hug it. Yeah. And they might not like figure out the finishing mechanics, but they understand the position. So it's one of those things that we teach kids at a young age and we make it fun. But in judo, you can't even do an arm bar till you're a black belt.
And what's crazy?
That's stupid.
I'll add this, and I hearken to this every time I train with adult white belts, is that learn your arm bars early. Because by the time you hit your black belt and you're allowed to do arm bars, you're kind of late. Right. You're late to the game. I didn't really know how to do an arm bar as efficiently as I should be doing as a black belt in judo until I actually took BJJ. I never armbarred anyone in a tournament or even during a randori ever, right? Because I just didn't know, or I knew the mechanics, but I just didn't know how to it's like showing how to do a throw, but unless you know how to move to the throw, it's kind of like hard, right? It's the same with an armbar. I know how an armbar works, but how to move to an armbar is completely different. Yeah, that's a hard part for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's people always, I agree, judo especially, because when someone's grabbing you and you're like stuck, you're like, how the hell am I supposed to put my hip under them if I can't even get into them? Right? So that was one of the things that I learned a lot from our friend Victor, who taught me how to move. I still can't move like he can. I can't move like he can. No. But he was like, okay, now I'm starting to see how throws are able to be entered off of movement. And he was doing it when he was a little kid, so he's got a massive experience. Yeah, and I started judo. I was already a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I was in my mid-20s, maybe, late 20s. 28, maybe I started judo, 27. Yeah. So you started, I'm 39 now. When I met you, I think I already left San Jose State. Yeah, no, you started before me. Yeah. Then you left, and then I started, and then I left. And then we both came back. Yeah. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Yeah. So when did you start judo? I started judo at San Jose State when I was 18. I knew nothing about judo. I'm sorry. Correction. I knew about judo, but I never thought I could do it. I remember as a kid, I had 2 elementary friends. They did judo, but I asked my parents, and they're like, "No way," Yeah. They're like, "We're not signing for martial arts." I used to want to do karate when I was a kid, and they don't do karate. So now, and then funny enough, when I got into San Jose State, my uncle, who turned out, I didn't know this entire time, he had a brown belt.
Okay.
In judo, like he did it in Hong Kong, and I'm like, what the heck? How come I didn't know about this? And he's like, when he moved back here, he went to Cal State Hayward at the time. Now it's East Bay, and so he was like, oh, I remember fighting at judo tournaments at San Jose State. You should go join the judo program. You should try it out.
That was like before you were at the San Jose State, or while you were there?
I decided, I told my family I'm going to San Jose State. They're like, oh, my uncle's like, you should try it out. So I had no idea. Oh, wow. Walked in, my first day, I'll never forget, remember were you there at the old dojo before they tore it down? You know how you walk up the stairs and then like—
It's next to the gymnastics room.
Yeah. So you walk up the stairs, right? And all I hear is just thuds everywhere.
Yeah, break falls.
Just break falls, and I walked in, and it was like this small dojo. Well, it wasn't small. Maybe it's probably about as big as this, maybe a little bigger, and like the windows were up. I swear there was like maybe 40 people in there.
Oh, wow.
So it was like first day. And I had no idea, 40 people and like sweat. You could feel the humidity coming down the stairs. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Walk up, people sweating, people throwing, and it smells, it stinks. There's no AC in there, no ventilation. It was terrible. I walked in like, what the heck am I getting into? And that's where I first met Dave. And I'm like—
What year was this?
Oh, 07.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
07.
I didn't.
I know. I look younger than I look.
How old are you? At the moment of this recording.
At this moment of recording, I'm old. I'm 35.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty old.
Yeah. And that's why
2007. Yeah. Dave Williams. So he's the coach that we earned our black belt from.
Yes. Yeah.
So then you were there with him for 4 years or 5 years?
I was there for about 5 years. It took me 5 years to graduate, but yeah, I was with him for 5 years. It was great. It was a great time. We had a lot of good people there. It was great. It was nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Like I started, I think it was 2013 or 2012. So you must have just graduated. If you started 2007, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I think I started either fall 2012 or spring 2013. And I came in, at first I was looking to do with the varsity team, right? Because I was like, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like I want to train with the varsity team. And then they're like, you never done any judo, like you need to go do the beginner class first with Dave. So actually I remember I went to the class in that room, and they had like a special instructor from Japan, this lady who was really famous for her newaza.
Oh shit.
And I was checking out the class, and Marty Malloy came talk to me and was like, hey, like, oh cool, like you should you should come train with us and all this stuff. And I was cool, but then I think it was Jose Bensacom. He was like the head coach at the time, or one of the coaches. He said, no, you need to go do the beginner class, right? And then I went there with Dave, and then I really enjoyed the class because like we would do the workout before.
The conditioning.
The conditioning for an hour, and then we do the class for an hour. I mean, there was a point where we were doing the conditioning for an hour, and then we do beginner class for 2 hours, and then we do the advanced class for an hour. So we were doing judo for like 4 hours.
Yeah, it was a great time. Like you just get like 4 hours of training. I'm like, oh, that was great. That was a good time.
Probably some of the best shape I've ever been in. Judo shape is, I think, my opinion, judo shape is, in general, they're much better shape than jiu-jitsu players.
You think so?
Oh yeah, give me a break. Have you seen those judo like Olympic athletes, man? They're like incredible shape.
They're like jacked.
Dude, it's a whole nother level than jiu-jitsu, and in general, like the intensity, the speed, the power that they put in techniques. And that was one of the biggest things I had to get used to when doing judo, was the speed, especially on the newaza. Like, I don't have time to chill. I don't have time to play half guard. And just hold you. And sweep you. Like, no. You have, if you stop moving, you stand you back up. So you have to continuously be moving. So their pace is pop, 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 pop. And then some jiu-jitsu players are like that. But you don't have to be like that in order to be a good jiu-jitsu player. You can have a slower pace, a stronger, more methodical. But in judo, if you aren't at that pace, you're gonna get penalized because you're gonna get stepped back up. So you have to conform to that. In jiu-jitsu, there's people like Cade Rotolo and the brothers there, and like some other really high level athletes that are just like and relentless with their pace, but not everybody is.
Do you think they should change the rules for that? Just to make it more entertaining, because sometimes when I watch a BJJ match, when I first watching it, I'm like, this is kind of boring. But when CJI was on, I watched the Tackett brother against the Rotolo brother, and I'm like,
that was amazing.
Why can't BJJ matches be like this intense? It was amazing.
I think Jiu-Jitsu, there's so many rule sets depending on the
tournament or whatever.
Yeah, and I think they all kind of have their place. You know, you have some tournaments that are no time limit, and that is what purists will call, like, people that, you know, like back when Helio Gracie and Hickson Gracie would do Vale Tudo matches with no rules. That was the pureness of jiu-jitsu, because I can stay safe for an hour and then kill you with a choke, right? So that in a sense was like true martial arts to them, to a sense where there's no rules, there's no time limit. Like, if I'm gonna fight me and you on the mountain, there's no time limit, there's no rules, right? I mean, obviously, like, is that gonna be a case you're gonna go fight somebody on the mountain? But, like, you know, that was the pureness of it. Now, once you start doing time limits, now my jiu-jitsu becomes limited, because I have to adapt to a 5-minute round, like CGI. CGI was what, 3 5-minute rounds?
I think so, yeah.
Or 3 10-minute rounds?
I think 3 5-minute rounds.
Something like that. I can't remember, but it was 3 rounds. They were limited time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, somewhere between there. And so now I have to make an impression on the judges in this 5 or 10 minutes, which is relatively short. So that rule set made it more exciting. If you think about, like, some of these WNO matches that they're fighting for, like, they have like a 30-minute time limit. Yeah, even I get bored, because a lot of them, their wrestling is like not that dynamic. So I'll literally fast forward while they're just grabbing on each other's necks for 15 minutes. I'm like, this is boring as hell. Show me a takedown. Or, oh, there's a takedown. Now I'm gonna watch that. And then, So there's so many different rule sets. So jiu-jitsu doesn't really have like it was the IBJJF for the longest time. That was the governing body, and like that is a 10-minute match for black belts. So even 10 minutes is kind of long. And some players they use that to their advantage. I'm going to kill the time for 7 minutes by a certain grip, by positioning. And in BJJ, they don't give penalties fast enough. They, like, for you to get penalty out of a match, I think they give you 3, and then on the 4th one you're disqualified in BJJ. Man, you have to be doing some really, really messed up stuff. Because Judo is not uncommon. No. Because they're quick, like boom, boom. So I think that is what I would change in the IBJJF rule system, is we need to give more penalties for stalling. Because, like, people stall, and then the referee on top, they give them, I think, 30 seconds until they have to
attack. Or show a move, change a movement, show something.
So 30 seconds is not long, it's not short.
I still feel that's kind of long.
It's kind of long, I agree. But I think it's the way they perceive that 30 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like, when do they start the 30 seconds? So 30 seconds, maybe they make it 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and that might be encourage more action. Because I think if more people were getting penaltied out, it would encourage more action. So we were talking about the rule set in BJJ, rule set in Judo, and then the phone just blacked out.
Technical difficulties.
Now we're recording.
We're so good.
So the phone blacked out for a software update, and as we were starting to talk about Japan. And luckily we didn't lose much of it, so we could probably spend the next 10 minutes to finish the conversation about Japan. You know, we mentioned that they have some really good BJJ practitioners over there.
They do.
The Niwa brothers, which I'm lucky to have a chance to meet them and roll with them in Japan. And you, not that long ago, went to Japan, and we're staying right next to the Imanari gym.
Oh man, I was like 15 minutes away, but Yeah, I mean, Japan's like, okay, I had to be one of those guys, right? I didn't want to be one of those guys. Like, like people always like, first off, I've never been to Japan ever until this year. And people always rave and talk about how amazing Japan is. And I'm like, look, I've been to Europe. I've been in multiple places across the United States.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Europe for about a month traveling, backpacking. I've been to a lot of places. You know, I lived in Hong Kong as a kid. Japan can't be that amazing, right? I know it's good, and I know I see Instagram, I see all the pictures. I get it. It's very picturesque. I watch anime, you know, I get it. But it can't be that great. Went there, I think like my second day, I was like, I love this place.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great place to travel, great place to be. Living there may not be the greatest place due to a lot of red tape you have to go through, I'm sure. But
they're not very flexible there.
They're not very flexible.
Yeah,
it's like
everything's by the book.
By the book.
Yeah, I can't even get a tomato on my sandwich.
No, not even that. Like, can you remove mayo on there? Nope, you can't remove mayo. You just got to keep it on there.
Yeah.
But anyways, like my second day, I was like, oh, dude, I love Japan. It was a great place. But yes, they do have a lot of BJJ places there.
Yeah, the cool thing about that is like, okay, Jiu-Jitsu came from Japan to Brazil.
Yeah.
And then eventually came back to Japan as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and had like a rebirth of Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And then they have a lot of gyms that are becoming very, very popular, very forward-thinking, like the Carpe Diem.
Yeah.
It's a very, very a young style, peer-to-peer maybe style gym, opposed to like maybe a more traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. And I had a chance to train at a few of the Carpe Diems the few times I went there. They're always really good training, high level. I think, like I said, forward thinking in there. It's more modern.
Really?
Yeah, and then...
Like they train new stuff?
Well, yeah, I think it's just the style, the way they train, the way the classes are structured, the interaction with the students and the instructors is more modern. They have like the professional BJJ practitioners, like they're purple belts that are living off jiu-jitsu at kind of like how some gyms do it nowadays, where people, hey, I'm a purple belt and I'm competing, so the gym is sponsoring me to compete.
Oh, I see.
They're paying from, they're giving me enough to live.
Yeah.
I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm helping the gym by teaching all the fundamentals classes, teaching the kids classes, representing the gym. Like I noticed that the first time I went to the Carpe Diem headquarters there was a lot of like purple belt that are professional jiu-jitsu. Like that's
in Tokyo, right?
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Well, they have. I think they have a couple of Carpe Diems outside of Tokyo, but most of their gyms are in Tokyo.
Yeah.
The headquarters is in Aoyama, which is a very pretty ritzy place of Tokyo.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. But then I found a gym called Axis, which is the first, as far as I know, the first BJJ gym in Tokyo or in Japan. Axis, head by Watanabe Sensei.
Yeah.
He's a black belt under Hicks and Gracie. Japanese, raised in Brazil, came back to Japan, I think, to finish his school, and there was no BJJ. He was a purple belt, I think, at the time. He was like, okay, I'm gonna open up my gym. And so when I went there, I was like, oh I'm at home. This feels like BJJ to me. And the sensei's amazing technique, great coach. Like he has such a great command of the class and the details that he teaches. It's like another level, I think, as an instructor. It's like kind of something that I want to emulate in my instruction. So,
How's his Portuguese?
Oh, he's fluent. He teaches the class. He teaches the class in 3 languages: Japanese, English, and Portuguese.
Dude, that's
because
so cool.
he has a lot of foreigners in the class. Of course, Japanese people and Brazilians, or people that speak Portuguese. Yeah. And so, like when I get there, he gets excited to talk to me in Portuguese. My Portuguese is pretty weak, but like he's like, oh, Alberto, like, hey, Alberto, bom dia. It's like, all right, cool, man. Like, so he has like his accent's interesting because it's like a mixture of Japanese and Portuguese. Oh, okay. But I highly recommend Axis, and that's where I got to meet the Niwa brothers. They were there visiting. They came back for a big tournament in Japan. And they were just training, and so I got to roll with him. His other brother, the younger brother, was I can't think of their names honestly right now, their first names. But one of the brothers was injured, so I was rolling with I think the older brother, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at my my dad's gym in Yokohama, which is another Axis. And so come visit. So I went down there, visited, and we got some more training in, and really, it was just great. Got to discuss techniques and discuss his life a little bit in LA at the.
Oh, they grew up now.
He's in AOJ. Yeah, him and they're both AOJ competitors now. But they go back all the time.
Got it. I know what's interesting is that a lot of judokas now train in BJJ gyms. So like one of the guys I love watching, he fights 81 kilos. His name's Takashi Sasaki. Like he's at his 81 kilo, he's not the tallest guy, so he sometimes loses a match, but he's just built different. Like he looks just different. His cauliflower ear is like, just all messed up. Like he looks jacked as hell, right? But I just remember distinctly of his match where he fought at, I think, in the Judo World Tour, I think, was it in Tokyo or was it in Osaka? I forget which one it was. But 81 kilos, he fought the number one, Kase from Belgium. 4-minute round, 3 minutes on Newaza.
Oh, wow.
Like, they stopped, stood there. Like, there were times when they call mate, stand back up, but then, like, someone throws and they get back into Newaza. He beat him. He choked, I think it was an armbar.
Oh, yeah?
I'm like, dude, that was intense. I was like, why can't matches be like that? That was an amazing match. Yeah,
and when you see that, and when you see a Newaza match in judo, it's very exciting because it's nonstop.
It's nonstop. Yeah. It's just moving.
Transition, and that's amazing.
It's like get out of guard, take the back, and then you roll out. And I mean, it was a fantastic match, but.
It's like who's the lady from the Japan team that does the sumigaishis?
Natsume or something? Yeah, I forgot.
Her Newaza is really good at, and I think she trains jiu-jitsu at Carpe Diem.
I think she trains at Carpe Diem. Yeah. She like all she does is she has no way a blue belt.
In jiu-jitsu maybe, I don't know, purple belt.
I mean, all she does is tomoe nage into an armbar. Yeah. And she does like the classic typical armbar from guard.
But her tomoe nage is so interesting because she does like a double sumigaeshi hooks. Yeah. And as she starts lifting, she puts her feet. And so I've been trying to adopt that as well. It's like really, really cool. It made me think a little bit about tomoe nages differently. I'm like, oh, okay, like, man, like I wish I practiced more tomoe nages when I was doing judo competitively.
And I wish I did the same too, because like when I did, if anybody rolls with me, anybody fights with me in judo or BJJ, like my stand-up game is completely different than when I was starting out. Like now, when I'm starting to do BJJ, it's like night and day. Like my game is completely different. And I think like some people notice too, when I roll with some of these brown belts that have been sparring with me or doing randori with me, they're like, oh, Sevey's like, way different. He doesn't do these. For example, I never do drop seven nages now.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. Number one, my knees. I'm getting old. Yeah. But also, I feel like a lot of back exposure, and like unless I like crank it and do it right, it just doesn't feel right.
So you're saying when you're training with, because you coach the San Jose State Judo club.
Yeah, not the varsity team.
Not the varsity team, but the club. Yeah. And then that, you got some mostly white belts, I imagine, but you got some brown belts and some color belts there. And when you're rolling with them, or you're doing Newaza with them, your judo's changing because you're a jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yeah, my judo has definitely changed. I think that my recommendation to all judokas is to improve, like, one of my biggest gripes right now, I think, in the American style judo being taught across America, is not being proficient in what we Americans are good at. Like, let's be real, right? American grappling consists of two things right now: is wrestling number 1, BJJ number 2, and judo number 3. Right. If judo's the weakest amongst 3 major grappling sports, I would say, why can't we incorporate our strong, Newaza grappling into our judo, Like when everyone knows when you watch a judo match, a lot of players are waiting for the mate when they hit the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just waiting for the mate, and I go, no, active Newaza, like think offensive Newaza. If the judo rule is always about we want offensive judo, right? That's why we have all the shido to prevent defensive stuff, right? Like posting or stalling, whatever, right? The idea, if offensive judo is the idea, why can't we have offensive newaza?
That's a good point.
Right.
So when somebody is stalling out, that could be considered negative judo, like they talk about.
Yeah.
And why not give a penalty for that?
Why not give a penalty, or why don't you take it as we Americans are good at? Let's be real. We're good wrestlers and we're good BJJ practitioners, right? In America. Why don't we have strong offensive newaza, right? When that Georgian guy wants to turtle up, take advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
Like I was talking with Noah the other day, and I'm like, isn't turtle the position easy to roll out into, like to get into a side control? Like, yeah, it's like when they turtle up really hard like this, it's not that hard. Just push them over and onto the shoulder and just keep rolling until they flatten their back. It's not that hard.
But most judo players base out on their belly.
Right?
Which is hard to roll.
Which is hard to roll, right? But at the same time, you can grab their legs, right? Like there's still advantage of an offensive newaza, in my opinion. And I feel like, when the Olympics are coming to LA in 2028, right? And the conversation amongst the American judo circle is that we don't have enough good players, and we have to show good force and make a good impression within the judo community. In America, we have good judo. Then showcase what we truly are good at. Like, don't be stubborn about, we need to go have good attacks from standing. Some of us are really good, but let's be real. Most of us are really, really good at leg grabs, right? If the single leg's coming back, and newaza. Like, take advantage of newaza.
That's a really good point.
Right, that's my opinion.
Like the Mongolians have done that.
The Mongolians are
The Georgians have done that.
The Georgian grip.
Right, so they have taken stuff from their style of wrestling.
Correct.
Which is a little different than American wrestling, freestyle wrestling, when you're going for the legs and stuff, right? So, but they've taken from their styles of wrestling and adapted it beautifully to judo.
To judo, yeah.
So
why can't we do it in America, right?
That's a great point.
Like, why can't we take advantage of
of the newaza portion?
Of the newaza, right? We're good at newaza, but the thing is that in America, we're so stuck in this we're doing judo, we're not doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm like, well, why can't we incorporate what they do best and incorporate into our judo? Like wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu, judo, there's like a Venn diagram of blend, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Figure out where do they blend, and let's focus on that so that we can make our mark in judo. Because like you said, let's be honest, USA, how many gold medals did we win in judo?
Not in the recent one.
I don't think we won any.
No. No, Kayla Harrison won 2.
Gold medals?
Yeah, she won twice.
Oh, but I'm saying, that's amazing.
But that's one.
But that was last Olympics, right? Or 2 Olympics ago?
2 Olympics ago, not Tokyo Olympics.
Not Tokyo, and
Rio.
not Paris. It was Rio.
It was Rio.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing. Yeah. Now she fights in MMA, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So is there anything you want to close with? I know we had some great conversations about judo, jiu-jitsu, San Jose State. You're the coach at the San Jose State Judo Club. You coach here at Daruma Dojo. What days do you teach here?
I teach here on Fridays primarily, and I encourage everyone to come to our Friday class because generally we're at BJJ gym, so I don't really focus on the groundwork. But what's nice about my Friday class is that we have our Friday judo class at 6:30, and then after that it's Noah's class. So you get a good blend of standing for an hour, and then on the ground or newaza for another hour. So you get basically 2 hours of really good workout, in my opinion.
1 hour tachiwaza, 1 hour newaza, and then our kids program is Fridays, Saturdays, and we now are building a program for Sundays as well, which Sensei Nick is teaching at 9 a.m. on Sundays, and we're here today on a Sunday to potentially start building more Sunday judo programs for the gym and for the public, so more to come.
And again, more to come. I'm trying to make it more judo, standing friendly for BJJ, because I feel like in BJJ, standing is really not a big thing, but hey, look, certain gyms out there, you start standing no matter what. Like Legions, I think they all start from standing, right? And I think it's great.
And we do that here a lot, more often than most gyms.
More often than most gyms, which is very nice.
Not every round, but I think if we're in a class that has less people, or if we're in our more advanced classes, we start every round standing. If they want to pull guard, but
that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but if you are, so if you want an opportunity to practice your judo or your wrestling or your takedowns,
or your foot sweeps. Everyone loves foot sweeps nowadays. It's like the craze in BJJ. They're like, I want to foot sweep everybody. Sure. It's cool. Like when you do a clean foot sweep, it does feel great.
Yeah,
feels great.
And I was telling my students the other day about how that practitioner from Castro Valley would foot sweep everybody.
Oh, dude, I remember. Like I never caught so much air mileage from just getting foot swept.
Yeah, and he was this Korean that was like 60 pounds less than us, and just whee every time.
It was. I didn't know anybody could do that. It was kind of crazy. Yeah.
How can people find you if they want to learn more about judo, about the programs that you're doing?
You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is just look me up, Sevey Lee. And then if you guys come in here, I'm on Fridays. I usually come here to teach every Fridays. And if you want to come, if you can't make it during Fridays, then come. I usually come here Monday, Wednesdays for BJJ, and then during maybe open mat, come bother me. Don't hesitate. I do a lot of takedowns for BJJ.
Yeah, we do a lot of judo in our BJJ classes because of our judo background. Our BJJ fundamentals program has a lot of judo takedowns, hip throws, foot sweeps, learning how to fall, and we give a lot of opportunities for people to practice their standing and their groundwork.
Definitely.
So thank you for being a part of Daruma Dojo.
Definitely,
Sensei Sevey, man, it's been 2 years so far, and hopefully many, many years to come, and let's continue building.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All right. Well,
nice.